tell you a little bit about my own quest to make the most of my time and how that's reflected itself in the nature of the business that I've been fortunate enough to run. And I'm standing here today because I shouldn't be here. And what I mean by that is, I run a textile company, a textile manufacturing company in Fall River. It used to be in New Bedford. And our company is one of the only ones left. And I hope that my story reveals some insight about why that is. We've all had experiences that have caused our lives to change direction, inspired a deeper sense of reflection than we might have had before. Unfortunately, a lot of those experiences are born from loss, and that's where my story begins today. This is my mother, Virginia Matouk. She died on September 6, 1992, exactly 20 years ago to the day tomorrow. At the time, I was young, pretty much going nowhere, directionless, definitely not thinking about time. And one day my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and a year later she was gone. And all that was left was what she had been able to do with the time that she had. She thought she had time. There were plans to go to the weddings of her children, meet her grandchildren, grow old with my dad, and then one day those plans were gone. Had my mother made the most of her time? Had she had a dream? Did she follow that dream? Was she the person that she wanted to be? I knew that I was not the person I wanted to be at the time, and as I struggled to bring meaning to this awful event, I made a vow that if I was going to pay tribute to my mother's life, that from that point forward, I would make the most out of every moment that I had. That began my journey towards the family business, and on the way there, I had a brief detour to Ecuador where I taught English for a year. It was something I had always wanted to do, and I had always found reasons not to. I never listened to that inner voice telling me to go, but this time I went, and it was an incredible formative experience for me, and having had the chance to reflect on my life and on my society from the outside gave me this incredible sense of motivation to make the most out of the opportunities that I had. Later on, I found myself at Columbia Business School pursuing an MBA, taking a more conventional route towards the family business. Columbia was an amazing school and I learned a lot, but the culture of business school in the late 90s was really weird. I remember so many conversations revolving around the concept of shareholder value, of maximizing shareholder value. Anything and everything was possible, even justifiable, in the name of shareholder value. And I don't know if you remember this guy, Chainsaw Al. He was the flag-waving, card-carrying member of shareholder value. And he was like a hero at the time. My classmates, my professors invoked his name over and over again to talk about the model of pursuing shareholder value in its purest form. It's kind of ridiculous in retrospect. I mean, we know how the story turned out. Look at the name of his book, Mean Business. Who would actually want to live their life like that? But at the time, a lot of people were paying attention to him, and I'm sure that there were a lot of interesting insights inside of that book. But the quest for shareholder value in this single-minded, obsessive way did a lot of damage to communities, to individuals, and to businesses. And I think that this was a really bad legacy of that period of time in business school. Luckily, I also came under the influence of this guy, Professor Harvey Shulman. He taught an entrepreneurship class at Columbia that was more about values and personal development than about case studies and spreadsheets. And Professor Shulman was like this Yoda character who imparted wisdom in a slow-cooked way, and he always talked about time. And a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to ask him about time, and he gave more or less the same definition that I remember him giving 15 years ago. He said, time is without question our most precious resource. It can't be measured, loaned, borrowed, traded, etc. You have no idea how much you have, and you have to use it carefully and thoughtfully. In business school, as in other parts of life, we have the opportunity to learn from lots of different people, but we also have the choice of whom to listen to. It's very easy for all of us to get swept up in the prevailing wisdom of the time, but it's much more important for us to listen to people, to follow people who speak to something in a more meaningful way. Professor Shulman or Chainsaw Al, it's our decision. A couple of years later, 1998, working for the family business full-time, I arrived here, the Matouk factory in New Bedford. From the outside, it looked like a typical sewing factory in the area, and from the inside, unfortunately, it did as well. It was old, outdated, unprofitable, disorganized. And as I walked around in those early days, I was tempted to describe it using the S word. And I can't even bring myself to say it. It's really distasteful. Yuck. Go away. And the situation on the outside wasn't really any better. There were textile companies all over here going out of business on a daily basis. Our suppliers were endangered. And there were voices, reasonable, seasoned, experienced voices telling us over and over again to shut it down, that this part of the company's story was over, it was time to outsource and go to a marketing model. But it didn't seem right, and I felt a lot of pressure at the time. I didn't want to let my father down, and I definitely didn't want to let this guy down, John Matouk, founder of the company, emigrated from Syria and started his business in 1929, just shortly before the stock market crash, and left behind a 70-year legacy. I didn't know what John Matouk would do in this situation. I didn't even know what he wanted for the business. You see, he died in 1966. His legacy was long gone. We didn't know why he started it or what he wanted to do. And as I thought about a course for the future, it dawned on me that this was really an opportunity, that we had this long, great history, but we didn't have an ending. And we could write our ending ourselves. We could rewrite our destiny and be whatever we wanted to be. And we decided to dream big. We decided that we would be the first true American luxury products company. We were going to be the world leader in fine bed and bath linens, bar none. It didn't matter that we only had 25 people in a sweatshop in New Bedford. We were going to do it come hell or high water. And I don't know if we'll ever get there. And I don't even know if that matters. So we're searching for direction for the business, and we did something very unusual for a manufacturer at the time, and that was to actually not hire lean manufacturing consultants or cost accountants or process engineers. We decided to go to our customers, little mom and pop linen shops around the country, interior designers, and ask them if we wanted to fulfill our destiny, what did they need us to make for them? And they told us they wanted fine bed and bath linens. They wanted high margin items. They wanted us to be able to personalize them. They wanted us to customize them. They wanted flexible delivery, and they wanted us never to be out of stock of standardized products. So we did some analysis and we said, very good. I think if we made some improvements in our manufacturing process, reorganized our supply chain, we might be able to do this, manufacturing here in the United States. And we decided to do it as long as we could do it profitably. So we knew our destiny, we knew how to do it. Off to the races, right? Not so fast, because our customers told us other things. They wanted products that we couldn't make ourselves. They wanted soaps and candles to accessorize with the bed and bath linens. They said we needed to have towel programs with 20 different colors. We needed to have artisanal, crafted quality bedding products that we couldn't afford or have any desire to make in New Bedford, Massachusetts at the time. Well, we had to bring these things to our customers, but we couldn't do them ourselves. So we employed a process that's known by another dirty word now, the O word, outsourcing. Once Chainsaw Al's favorite method, now something much more controversial. But should it be? These are some of the amazing people that work for Matouk now in Fall River, Massachusetts. In 1998, we had 25 people in manufacturing. Today, we have 65. Our employees now are much better paid, they have better benefits, and they have far more job security because they work for a company that's much stronger. The company is stronger not only because we figured out how to manufacture domestically successfully, but also because we figured out how to outsource successfully when it comes to certain strategic projects. These are some of the amazing people that work for us in the Philippines. In 1999, we made our first sheet there. This year, we're going to make thousands. So just as we've created dozens of manufacturing jobs here in the United States, we've also been able to do the same thing in the Philippines and in other parts of the world. So these employees are benefiting not only from our commitment to outsourcing, but also from our commitment to manufacturing here domestically, because the stronger that Matouk is, the more able we are to sell products that they're making in the Philippines and other places. So for Matouk, and for a lot of other companies like ours, insourcing and outsourcing are partners. They're codependents. And the beneficiaries of this collaboration are not only the Matouk shareholders, although they are benefiting, but so are the suppliers, the employees, the customers, our communities, our region, our country. People get so caught up in these terms all the time: insourcing, outsourcing, mean business, crowdsourcing, lean manufacturing. But these are all just terms with definitions. They're neither inherently good nor inherently bad. They're there for us to use to achieve our goals. And at Matouk, we use them all. To make this small assortment from the Matouk product line requires the collaboration of thousands of people across the globe who have no idea that they're in partnership with each other. There are farmers in Egypt and weavers in Italy and towel makers in Portugal and embroiderers in the Philippines and our crew in the US and our customers and more. Our job is to bring all of these people together for a shared purpose for Matouk. Business in today's world, I believe, is about managing the complexity of an integrated globe to provide solutions for our customers better than anyone else. But I would also propose that we set the bar higher. I propose that we manage complexity in an intentional way that's meant to bring about the broadest spectrum of benefits to the broadest definition of shareholders that a company can afford. I think that we should put our foot in a stake in the ground as business leaders and demand that the enterprise exists for a greater purpose than simply making profit. This is the Matouk factory of today. Now, I know she's got a little white fan on her sewing table, but I swear that it's air-conditioned. It's true. People walk through the Matouk factory now and seem to be astonished by it, which I find to be kind of weird because we're just making fabric into beautiful things, which is something that's been done since the beginning of time. How do you do it? I hear over and over again. How do you do it? But the question really isn't how. The question and the answer is why. Why have we done what we've done? Why have we invested in an industry that everybody else is running away from? Why have we managed to convince people to believe in what we're doing? Why have we been able to attract employees? Why have we had success? The reason, I believe, why we've had success is because we set about a certain path 14 years ago, and we walked the walk every day since then, on good days and bad days. And the conditions change around us, and our tactics change, but our reason for being stays the same. We don't change from quarter to quarter, from earnings seasons to earnings season. We do what we do, we believe in it, and we're going to do it in the future. There's my mother again. When I reflect on her last days now, as a father of 3, as a husband, even more than ever, I'm overcome by the sadness of the event. But I do find inspiration in the ability of someone to influence the world and the people around her, not only in life, but also in death. The success, the modest success that I've had leading my family's business owes an enormous debt of gratitude to my mother. I'm dedicating this talk to her today. And in her name, I would ask that all of us, on this very moment, commit ourselves to leaving behind fear of failure, to superseding limits that we place on ourselves, to rejecting cynicism, to dreaming about the future, to listening to our hearts, and to make the most of every moment that we have. Thank you.